everybody's favorite night of the season, ladies and gentlemen. It is playoff reveal time. Welcome, everybody, to the 2025 Spring Playoff Reveal Show. My name is Chris Aviles. I get the esteemed honor and privilege of being El Presidente of good old Garden State Esports. Excited to welcome you all in and let you know who's going to be playing, where you're going to be playing, who made All Stars, and all other kinds of fun stuff that we plan on revealing for you today. As always, I am joined by our director of competition, the master of the triangles, the cruncher of the numbers, Mr. Mike Johnson. Mike, welcome, sir.
Hello, hello.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I have a supersized glass of Pennsylvanian tears, and I'm ready
Okay.
to go.
Love a good glass of Pennsylvania Tears. I realize that I'm now old enough that I can't see the chat and basically the slideshow in front of me without glasses, so try to give myself a night off of contacts, take a break. That doesn't seem to be working out. And then I just got back from T-ball with my 3-year-old, who every time he hit the ball would run slow motion, literally saying slow motion as he basically walked to every base. Um, so we have learned since putting him in a T-ball, you cannot give my 3-year-old an audience. He is out of his mind. So, lots of exciting stuff going on. None more exciting, though, than the Garden State Esports Spring Playoffs, May 17th, Georgian Court University. It's where it's all going to go down.
Yeah, we say this every 3 months, it feels like, but largest season ever. Um, we've been having these blowout events at Georgian Court these past 2 times, and the spring is already too big. So we're going to see some rounds played remotely just to get us down to the top 8 because we had, you get the exact number here. We had 250 varsity level teams play this season,
Jeez.
and that's not even counting the 170 plus junior varsity level teams we had. So, um, just in order to give everybody a fair shake and an equal opportunity to try and play for that belt at GCU, we expand the brackets. We go more. We play more. So it'll be fun to dive into and see maybe some of those 9, 10, 11, 12 seeds actually get a shot now that we've expanded to 16.
Wild. Totally wild, man. I can't believe it. No, it's got to be, I think, basically every year since we started. Every season has been bigger than the last, we're dancing around 400 schools in the league. The college circuit has grown from, we had 4 inaugural members. In the spring, we had 22 colleges play with us, throughout the year this year. So we continue to be the biggest and, dare I say, the best scholastic esports league in the country. And a large part of that, Mike, is you and the hard work you and the competition committee do and the rest of the team. And we even have our student mods manning the chat, making sure that everybody behaves themselves. Because at the end of the day, it's also about, right, having a good time and enjoying ourselves. But no better way than to start enjoying ourselves than to talk about some math. And I know
Yes.
everybody always is looking for the excuse of, when am I going to use this, right? Sitting in algebra. Well, talk about the playoff score and how we went about seeding our teams today, Mike.
True. Yeah. Turns out you're going to need some of that math if you wanted to figure out how to correctly balance hundreds of esports teams across the state playing a different number of matches. So we have just the reality of the situation on the ground is we have seasons that are not all the same length. Some teams will play 7 games, some teams will play 6 games, and we want to make sure that we're accurately weighting performance across different numbers of raw wins. We never want to penalize a team for playing the matches that we told them to play. And if we only tell you to play 6, we don't want to penalize you for not having more wins than a team that got 7 opportunities to win. So we just wanted to make sure that we can weight those raw win loss totals, because if you did play 7 and you won them all, like, you earned something, but we don't want to be adversely affecting those teams that only played 6.
Right. So we bring some math into the equation, and it kind of looks like this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go line by line here. We're gonna post the slides, and you guys can pause it and do napkin math. We're back from spring break. You guys can actually turn the brains on again. But basically, it all boils down to um, a portion of your playoff score is going to be, did you actually win the match or not? A
Mm-hmm.
portion of your playoff score is going to be those individual game wins, or in the case of a game like Valorant, those individual map wins. Were you going 3-0? Were you going 3-1? Were you going 3-2? And we use those to weight teams against each other that may have the same records. And we use a variable called A, which is basically just scaling it so that everybody gets a fair shake regardless of the length of their season.
Love it. And so outside of that, right, playoff score is going to be the main um, decider of who gets seeded where. After you are seeded based on your playoff score, if a team has beat you and they are under you, you can be jumped, and you can jump one spot. And we're going to see some of that happening today, right after we seeded everybody based on playoff score. There were some teams that beat the team ahead of them, and so we respect the head-to-head win when it is directly above, right? So if a first, if a second place team beats a first place team after seeding, they'll jump them. But if the first place team, happens to lose to an eighth place team, the eighth place team doesn't jump all the way to the top, right? You get the respect for that when you don't get, you don't get to go 1-8. You happen to beat the first seed team, and now all of a sudden you're conference champ, right? And after that, right, we take it by, obviously conference champs are going to be getting the top playoff spots, and then from there we fill the teams out with the next best X amount of teams. And the way that we see that, the criteria, right, is going to be fewest players suspended, fewest forfeits, records versus common opponents, best wins, strength of schedule, and then coin flip, which word on the street is we're going to have a coin flip tonight.
It's the word on the street. We
So
love the coin flip.
we shall see who the old gods and the new gods have chosen to represent them in battle. So a little bit more on that, but let's walk through, Mike. It's time. Big
Yeah.
reveal. Middle School Rocket League.
Yeah, so we'll get started with middle school Rocket League here. We had two conferences, middle school. We had, a little over a dozen to 20 teams. Our top overall seed is Jonas Salk. They went perfect. 7-0, perfect 21-0. They didn't drop a single game. So they grabbed that top spot. You'll see there. Camden's Promise gets the second seed despite not having the second highest playoff score. And so that's the benefit of winning your conference.
Mm-hmm.
We put you guys in conferences, you win them all. You get the benefit that you get is getting at the top of that bracket. Burnett, 7-0, 21-1. They were in the same conference as Salk, which was a bigger conference. Not everybody played everybody. So we actually were able to have two undefeated teams, but you'll see just how tight middle school Rocket League is at the top half of this bracket, where a single game, drops you a couple seeds and maybe the path is a little harder. West Essex Middle School coming in at 4, followed by Southern Regional, Renaissance Smith from that's Ramsey, and Bayshore, rounding out the top 8 with a win today. So every single match matters.
Yeah, Bayshore pulled out the victory and snuck in right at the wire and punched their ticket, to be in the playoffs. And so, yeah, like you said, every match matters. And you can look at some of these playoff scores that are just, decided by thousandth, I think.
Thousandth.
Thousandth of a decimal
the
place.
difference between West Essex and Southern Regional is, a few hundredths of a point.
Right. Yeah, so playing your matches, not dropping rounds, stealing rounds when you can. If it's something like Valorant where you lose the first map and it's a best of 2, right? That second map is really how you start to sort the playoff seeds out and stuff like that. So all that stuff's going to matter, right? But good to see Middletown sneak in there. I know they're always excited to come and be a part of the events because it's basically in their backyard. And so we throw it up on the bracket, right? We're going to have Jonas Salk playing Bayshore, West Essex playing Southern Regional. You got Camden's Promise versus Smith, and you got Burnett versus Renaissance. Mike, they're going.
Yeah, all 8 of these teams are going to Georgian Court.
That's right.
You'll see the theme of today is if you make the top 8, you play at Georgian Court, unless you're playing Valorant, in which case you have to make the final.
There you
But
go.
that's your fault for playing a game that takes just too darn long.
So, schools, if you see your name, you better get the bus going because we will see you at Georgian Court on May 17th. And so, next, Mike, we always go into our picks. To win, who we think is going to be state champ, to watch a team from the top bracket who may be able to steal a state championship. Dark horse, a team from the bottom half of the bracket that, you know what, you better not sleep on because they might catch you, take you out, and ride the Cinderella story all the way to the championship. Now, I do have to say, my understanding when it comes to picks, you are one pick lifetime ahead of me currently in our multi-year quest to be Blue Stradamus and
Yes.
being able to predict and guess who is winning. So,
You say one pick ahead lifetime, but to me that's a line drive in the box score. All I hear is that I'm winning.
well, we'll see how long it lasts because you're going to see I got some spicy ones in there. Um, but yeah, I mean, so looking at middle school, seeing Jonas Salk, they didn't play Burnett. But I get it. See Burnett, pick Burnett. I'm trying to make up some. I'm trying to make up some wins against you. But I think, like you said, that was one of the cool things about this conference is coming out of the Salt Burnett conference. We had enough teams that not everybody played each other, so there is still some of that mystery. But I'm gonna go with Salk. I'm gonna go with Salk to bring it on home for Team Old Bridge.
Yeah, I mean, see Burnett, pick Burnett. Until convinced otherwise, Rocket League and Smash in middle school run through Union, whether that's Burnett or Kwame that we'll see later. But my to watch is West Essex. Not only is it a homer pick, and I'm always going to do that, but this is West Essex's first year having a middle school Rocket League program. And so we got it started. They got some computers from the high school program, and I blinked, and they were the 4 seed. So, they I'm gonna ride that high a little bit and keep an eye on them for the rest of the bracket.
Yeah, and for me, my watch, being a short conference guy, born and raised, Southern Regional, they've been in the league for a couple of years, but from the get go, I guess we could say a perennial playoff contender, have been to a bunch of finals right out of the gate. So, if I am a school that sees Southern in my bracket, just like with most sports, man, you can't sleep on Southern. They can, they can steal a win from anybody, anytime, basically in any sport. So, I think Southern has a chance to make some noise. And then I'm hoping my dark horse, Coach Miller, riding the wave of today's victory, going to come on a dolphin, um, you know, and listen, she's got at least two, if not three, championship belts hanging up in the Bayshore Esports Arena over there in Middletown. So, Coach Miller is no stranger to big events. And those of you who watch our seeding show know that I tend to favor schools that have been to the dance before. Because, I mean, you said it earlier, Mike, our playoffs get bigger and bigger and bigger. We had a couple thousand in this fall and the winter. We may be pushing up against 2 to 3,000 for the spring just based on the size. Spoiler alert, they had to move us to a new building. Um, Bayshore having teams and coaches that have been there before and they don't, they control the nerves. They can deal with the sounds when we're setting off Apple Watches that say you should probably leave the area because it's too loud. I think that factors in because we've seen a lot of really good teams who do great playing from their school, but when they get in front of people, let alone thousands of people on a stage, cameras in their face, 15 minutes to warm up, you know, you can be ready. And so that's, I mean, it's even why some of our best programs actually pump in sound, while they're practicing now. So that way kids can get used to, some of them have never even worn, headsets. So all things to consider. So I think Bayshore might be able to make some noise here.
Yeah, for sure. And then my dark horse. Anytime I look for a dark horse, I go into the records and I see who was winning games or sets or maps when they didn't win the matches. And you see Smith overperforming a little bit. It takes 3 games to win a Rocket League match. They won 16 based off their 5 wins. So they're picking up games. So whenever I see a dark horse, I'm always looking for that extra resilience that maybe they can hang around and shock somebody, especially in an in-person situation.
Love it. And I'm watching the chat and I see somebody telling me it's still Southern's first year.
Oh gosh, it feels this has been a long decade.
Yeah, it feels like I've seen them, at every playoff. Well, I guess I have, but yeah, awesome. And so up next, we take a gander. High School Rocket League.
Yeah, so High School Rocket League, we start off with combining groups 1 and 2. So Group 1 played all by their lonesome, and then we had a Group 2 North and a Group 2 South. So we will combine them into one big sort of super bracket, which will be 16 teams. So you'll see the 3 conference champs there: Woodbury City, a perfect 6-0, 18-0; Seneca 6-0, 18-1, and then Newton rounds out the top 3, winning that Group 2 North Conference.
Love it.
But right on their heels is Hawthorne. Then you got Liberty, Middlesex, Technology High, Holmdel getting the 8th seed by virtue of a head-to-head over Burlington Tech and Medford. McNair. Then we go on the Tech run: Mercer Tech, Cape May Tech, Manchester Township, Hoboken, Hopatcong, and Pompton Lakes rounds out the bracket.
Love it. So we throw it up on that bracket and we take a look. We got Woodbury's going to be playing Pompton Lakes. We got Holmdel versus BCIT, Hawthorne versus Manchester, Liberty, Cape May, Seneca, Hopatcong. We got Technology High School versus McNair Academy. We got Newton versus Hoboken, and we got Middlesex versus Mercer Tech. And because, right, we got 16 teams.
There, those 2 columns on the side, the first round matchups will be played remotely this coming Tuesday. We're getting right at it.
There you go. So Tuesday, 3:30, right? First round of these matches will be virtual, and if you make it to the top 8, we will see you at Georgian Court. So,
so I would say if you see your name on this bracket, still reach out to your board office, get that bus, because they gotta call the depot. They gotta make sure there's a driver. You can always cancel it.
Right.
There's no sweat to cancel a bus. Lots of sweat to get a bus. And so if you see your name on this bracket, Monday, reach out, get that bus, and then if you win, you need it, and if you lose, you just make another call.
And it's also a great time to bring up too is if you didn't make the playoffs, if you don't see your name, or even get eliminated in that first virtual round, we always like to remind people to stay frosty. We have some schools who don't take the proper steps to get the bus, or we have some schools who, for whatever reason, have been unable to make the playoffs. We will not have forfeits at a live event. And so we will look to bring a team. Really, anybody who competed in that conference is eligible to fill that bracket. So we have a system where we go to the team that was defeated, and then we go to the next most worthy team. But even if you don't make the playoffs, you happen to lose in the playoffs. Don't go not checking your Discord DMs, because I might send you a message and say, hey, I got a spot with your name on it. I need to know if you want to take it and get the team back together. So, as always, stay frosty, right? We usually get maybe one school a year, and might be the opportunity. I'm almost positive somebody made it to the finals. That was called Mike. Mike, where have you gone? Mike is gone. Mike is back.
For me, you were gone, and now you're back.
Listen, all I know is that I missed you. All right, let's not do that. Let's not do that again. Let's talk about our picks. 2v2 Rocket League, Group 1 and 2. Listen, DeMarco, seasoned coach, great program, great kids. Loved what they did this year. Love the camaraderie of the team. Love how the team is probably sitting in the auditorium right now at Woodbury watching this together. It's a program that continues to get better and better and better every year. They brought home a state championship last season, and I'd love to see them bring home a state championship again. So I'm going to take Woodbury to win.
Yeah, I know. I know Woodbury. They had the big watch party for the winter, and I almost caused some sort of riot. Coach DeMarco had to take all their phones because I didn't pick them. I didn't pick you this time, but I did put you to watch. Listen, I can't pick the same teams as Chris because I have to be better than him. So don't at me. But I got to go with Seneca here. Everything you said about Coach DeMarco and his crew can be said about Coach Seeley and his crew. And they've got the pedigree. They have won multiple Rocket League championships, both for GSE seasons and also some of the open tournaments we've held, like down at ACX One.
Yeah.
These kids know their Rocket League, and so if Seneca is still running the table in their conference, I have to think that they're going to show up to this event knowing what needs to be done, well-oiled machine, and looking to take care of business. But then my dark horse is McNair. Same reason as before. I look at the teams that are overperforming with their wins. They're taking games off teams that are beating them. And McNair has been to live events too. Maybe not necessarily in Rocket League, but we've got some kids that know what it's like to be on stage, because it is much different from when you're at home.
Love it. And yeah, I mean, my Tawacha Seneca, like you said, they won a state championship in 2v2, and both players were freshmen, and they've been on a tear ever since. But what I'll do, though, Woodbury kids, if you want to DM me, I'll give you Mike's cell phone number, so that way you can, express your feelings about him not picking you again. So, I mean, obviously, I think Woodbury's really good, but I also don't want calls at like 2 in the morning, hanging up on me and, calling me names. But my dark horse is going to be the hometown. I live in Manchester. Coach Yates, coaching the Hawks over there, is always a pleasure. I get to go and see and, hang out whenever I can. And, rooting for the hometown, hoping they could bring one home. So, going to be competitive, man. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Up next, I think we're going to Rocket League Group 3. Walk us through it, Mike.
Yeah, so Group 3, 18 bracket. We had Group 3 North, Group 3 South. You see Heightstown with that perfect record taking the top seed. Morris Hills, defending champs
Defending
for
champs.
2v2, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken. Taking that number 2 seed. Then we have Colonia. Then we have Morris Knowles, who are the 3v3 champs.
Mm-hmm.
As the 4 seed. St. Peter's Prep, Central Regional, High Tech. Always sniffing around some Rocket League is High Tech. Known for their smash, but don't sleep on them. And then we have West Windsor Plainsboro South, rounding out our top 8.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, we probably got Luigi kids sneaking into Rocket League somehow or something like that. But we put it up on the bracket. We got Heightstown versus Plainsboro South. We got Morris Knowles, St. Peter's Prep. We got Morris Hills versus High Tech. We got Colonia versus Central Regional. And here's kind of what I'm excited about, and it kind of bears out in the picks here, Mike. They're on opposite sides of the bracket. We got the 2v2 champs in Morris Hills and the 3v3 state champs in Morris Knowles. This could be a Morris versus Morris battle for the state championship. And I'm fairly positive, like, dude, like if the mayor doesn't show up for that, they don't get, they don't bring out like I've always wanted like a marching band, like to come and like play this. Like, can we get like the Morris Hills, Morris Knowles marching bands to come like battle it out and like lead these teams out before the match? Because that would be
I was saying
really...
we were gonna have to like pat the kids down and make sure they don't have like rusty spoons or something.
Yeah,
like
something,
that.
Right? Because I don't think we've ever had like a Middletown South, Middletown North, like a Morris Hills, Morris Knowles, right?
Not like on a stage, no.
Right.
I know last year. Yeah, last year, like the Valorant semifinal, we had Old Japan versus Demarest grudge match.
And we've had Burnett and Kwame, but I don't think we've had, an inter-district state championship, which I think would be a very cool thing to witness. But I'm gonna go at Morris Hills. I would like to think, as somebody who is horrible at Rocket League, that there is some strategy and differences in 2v2 versus 3v3, even if it means like you're not getting bumped or there's more room or whatever the case may be. But what do they say? To be the man, you got to beat the man. So picking Morris Hills to repeat is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Knowles. They came sort of Cinderella story. They were the 5 seed when they won the 3v3s back in the fall. So I have them sort of working on that. Whichever two that they pick, or maybe it's two completely different kids, and just they're all very good at Rocket League there. But my to watch is also Morris Hills because they have the expertise. The repeat is always tough in high school sports. Um, you don't know who graduates. You don't know other stuff going on. But yeah, I hope it is Knowles versus Hills. That'll be fun.
That would be very cool. That would be really cool. For my watch, I'm going to go at Heightstown. I'm going to bounce back up there, and let's not forget they're the top seeded team. So I don't want to be super disrespectful and not acknowledge the fact that they are the best team currently heading into the playoffs. So, you know, um, to me, again, it's one of those things where Hills and Knowles they've been there before. They've won a state championship, um, and I think that carries a lot of weight. Where a Heights town, if I'm not mistaken, and they do make it to the live playoffs, I believe it might be their first time there. And so for me, I said it a bunch, but I'll say it again: is it's always hard. It's always hard to watch new programs come into a live event because they often struggle. But my dark horse, I'm going to take my friends over at St. Peter's. I think that looking at the season, who they played, what they dropped, goals, all that good stuff. Um, I think they're a little bit underseeded. I think that they, a couple things didn't break their way, but definitely a team. Don't sleep on St. Peter's.
Yeah, likewise, I'm going with Central Regional. Once you get into the 5 and 6 seeds in this particular bracket, it's really close.
Mm-hmm.
And so just fractions of points are separating you from one side of the bracket to the other. And I think they got onto the friendly side. So who knows? You get in person, somebody's got a bad tummy ache or something. Well, that's the beauty of these 18 brackets and having all the rounds in person is that it's rapid fire too. Um, when the schedule comes out in a couple weeks and you actually know exactly what time your matches are playing, you're going to see a couple back to backs in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these titles where the quarterfinals and the semifinals are back to back. We do that for a couple reasons. It's easier setting up equipment. People aren't logging in, logging out, moving around. But playing back to backs and momentum from round one right into round two can sort of sneak up on some people.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of factors. Central Regional is 15 minutes away from Georgian Court. Like they're gonna pick me up on the way, on the way in, where the Morrises and the Heights towns of the world, they got a bit of a haul, right? And going back to my days of coaching football and wrestling and stuff like that, it was always hard to get kids off the bus and get them, awake and moving and there's a lot of factors. So whether it's playing back to back or how far you got to travel, teams got to be there at 8 in the morning. All those things wind up mattering. But let's talk about the big guys, the big girls, the
Big
group
schools.
four, the big schools, the group fours of the world.
The
Here
schools
are
that
your
are
Rocket League
the
2v2
schools that are
playoffs.
finding two Rocket League players out of 3,000 students. We've got Union on top, 7-0. Freehold winning Group 4 South. They'll be the number 2 seed. Then you'll see Plainfield right up there as the 3 seed. Playoff score very similar to our conference champs.
Hmm.
Then we have Livingston, Atlantic County Institute of Technology, Eastern Regional, JFK from Patterson, and Cherokee rounds out our top 8.
Beautiful. We throw them up on the brackets. We're going to have Union versus Cherokee, Livingston versus ACIT. We got Freehold versus JFK, and Plainfield versus Eastern Regional. Love it. And so for me, it's a little bit of a short conference pick. It's a little bit of the fact that Freehold came in their very first season and won a state championship. It's the fact that in talking to the Freehold coaches, they're texting me pictures of the kids at the board meeting being recognized by the board of ed over at Freehold. All the different team things that they're doing together. Talk about a program that joined the league but joined the right way. Not just winning, but just an entire entire community backing them, right? So it's always really cool when we see right out of the gate varsity letters and Board of Ed recognition. And if you know anything about, I always get it wrong, but the Freehold Regional School District, they're made up of, 5 high schools, so like Howell and I think Marlborough's in there and a couple others. Um, the success that Freehold had right out of the gate is probably a big contributing factor of why we're going to see those other high schools jumping in the very near future. So, a school over there, inspiring the community, inspiring other schools in the area. I'm a short conference guy at heart, so I'm going to take Freehold to continue making some noise.
I picked none of the conference champions.
Notice bold.
Yeah, I went a little bold with this one. I think Group Four Rocket League in particular is just very close.
Yeah.
And I think I went with teams that I thought were overperforming that then could make a run once they got in person. So to me, I'm looking at Plainfield to win. I'm watching Livingston, who's right on the heels. So Plainfield's a 3, Livingston's a 4 seed, and I think that we have the opportunity to possibly see some upset in the Group 4 bracket, um, where perhaps the seeds do not hold, and it makes us look bad, but then makes me look good because I predicted it.
Yeah. And for me, my to watch, and I think I saw Coach Churris in the chat. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but listen, Kiwami kids and Burnett kids turn into Union High School kids. So the fact that Union High School is, a top seeded, in the bracket, we may be approaching, see Union pick Union. The Union dynasty might be starting because those Burnett kids and those Kiwami kids, they got to go to high school somewhere. And wherever they're going to high school, has a good chance of bringing home a state championship. So, wouldn't be surprised at all to see Union win it. Yep. So there's Churris is telling me, yep, they go to Union High School. So, see Burnett, pick Burnett is very likely going to start turning into see Union, pick Union. So, I mean, again, another all-in district from top to bottom. The Union School District is just fantastic with the way they treat their coaches and their programs and their kids, and it's always a pleasure to see. And then dark horse for me is ACIT. ACIT, a couple years ago was making runs in the playoffs and was in finals and stuff like that. And hey, again, they're ready to get back after it. So looking at ACIT to be a dark horse.
And I'm looking at Eastern Regional. They've been around forever, it seems, although it's probably only been like a year and a half. But ever since they've joined the league, they've been in around finals and live events, and you'll get the sense over the course of the rest of this show is that Chris and I, and if you've been to any of our finals events, you will know that it is a completely different beast. And so skill and what may be chalk if everyone's playing in ideal circumstances kind of goes out the window. And so we lean towards those schools that have been there, have sort of weathered it, coaches that sort of know the routine, they can prepare their kids. So maybe Eastern makes some noise.
Excellent. Good. And I think that's going to bring us to, I have my glasses on, I can't even see the next slide, but before that, though, I want to take a quick minute to shout out the fact that we are doing senior shout outs. So, coaches who are in the chat, coaches who watch this video later, make sure that you submit your senior shout outs so that way we can recognize our seniors who have played with us and are going to be leaving. Well, maybe not even leaving. I'm hoping most of them are going to wind up in the GSE collegiate circuit. But, just recognizing our seniors. Make sure you guys take care of that. And then we're also going to have some cool stuff going on with MVPs. We're going to do some MVP stuff live at the event with our friends from Princeton University who have been tracking and working on a new statistics program because of Princeton. Look, it's funny as those kids are part of the Princeton football team, half of them part of the Princeton Esports team, obviously taking courses at Princeton, and they were like, oh, I have an extra 45 seconds in my day. I'm going to try to start a company that helps kids, get connected with colleges, basically based on esports and recruiting and performance and stuff like that. So a lot of really cool stuff going on. I dropped earlier the tickets to our spring championship in the chat. Make sure that you share that with your community coaches, right? Coaches, players, people who are part of your esports program. They come on the bus, they're in for free. Parents, supporters, all that good stuff. They're going to need a ticket to get in. So make sure the mayor of Morris Hills, what town is that?
Yeah, it's just Morris.
Morris. So Mayor Morris, make sure he gets his ticket so he can come see the Morris Hills, Morris Knolls State Championship. But let's talk Smash, man.
Yeah, so you'll see everyone's favorite shape popping up on this slide. We have our very first triangle of the seeding show. We'll get to it in a minute. So Burnett wins their conference 7-0. They lost some sets somehow. I can only think that it's pulling the LAN cable or something like that.
Yeah.
Solar flare. Kenneth R. Olsen wins their conference. They get the 2 seed, and Kiwami gets the 3 seed. West Essex number 4, Knollwood number 5, and then we hop into our very first triangle. Triangles occur because we allow teams to jump a single spot with a head-to-head victory. Triangles will occur when there is a set of 3 teams that all beat each other in a triangle. So Southern Regional beat Fernwood, Fernwood beat Island, Island beat Southern Regional, who jumps who, and it's just an endless cycle of, but I'm better than that team, and it just goes on forever. And so what we do is we sort of take a pause on the seeding, the ranking system, and we pull those 3 teams out, and we start over from scratch as if nothing else had happened. And so we started back at the top of the flow chart, and we take the top playoff score of those 3 teams in that triangle, and that happened to be Southern Regional. So they get the top overall seed there, and then the triangle must be satisfied. And so we solve it by just continuing on down, and that head-to-head then wins out. And we wound up seeing my notes here that Fernwood had the head-to-head over Island, and so they take the 2nd seed out of the triangle, and then Island gets the 3rd, and then we time in, and we're back in seeding the rest of the middle school league. So Bayshore gets our 9 seed, followed by Smith, Harrington Park, Renaissance, Jonas Salk, Center School, Matawan Aberdeen, and Stafford, rounding out our top 16 middle school Smash teams. This is our biggest middle school bracket ever.
Yeah, it is huge. And so we got that first round is going to be played remote. And it is going to be Burnett versus Stafford, Island versus Bayshore. We got West Essex versus Jonas Salk. We got Knollwood versus Renaissance. We got Kenneth Olsen versus Matawan. We got Fernwood versus Smith. Kiwami versus the Center School. Southern Regional versus Harrington Park. So again, if you are, in this first round of matches, you are playing remotely, April 30th, 3:30. There are no reschedules. There are no forfeits. The show goes on. And remember, if something, if you see your name, make sure you put in for that bus now. Don't be left out in the cold, not able to come, or trying to hitchhike down the Parkway or whatever weird South Jersey or North Jersey roads you guys have up there to get places.
County Road 675, whatever.
Sorry, I don't go up that way. But let's talk about our picks.
I'm a simple man.
See Burnett, pick Burnett. I get it. And look, it's hard. But again, trying to catch up here. I think the Pride of Tabernacle, I think Kenneth Olsen got a good shot as any to take out Burnett. And so I'm going to pick them to win. My watch is a little special, making the playoffs for the first time. If you know your true Garden State Esports lore, the first middle school team in the United States was started at Knollwood Middle School by a very handsome man who went on to become president of Garden State Esports. And so the fact to see that the program is over there still alive and well, the fact that, my favorite superintendent on the planet, Sean McNeil is for half the season was helping coach the team until they found, their current coach. So excited to see Knollwood in the playoffs, and I'll actually even I queued this up. I will even drop the news video from 2019 so you can see me younger pre-children when I didn't have to wear glasses, talking about the fact that we could not find anybody else to play. So we actually, the first esports match in the state of New Jersey was Knollwood Middle School versus Rutgers University because there was nobody to play. And then COVID hit, and I invited Steve Isaacs, who was working over in, I forget, but we started to play, and then he invited some people. I invited some more people, and then actually this news report came out, and this is actually how our friends from Western Penn School for the Deaf found us. Is they wound up, seeing the news and hearing what we were doing. And in
Yeah,
the early,
that's some more lore for you. Is that we used to be a national league.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is when this first started, there were so few esports teams anywhere in the country. Garnet State Esports was actually a national league because that was the only way we could get competition. And as it grew, we started to kick out everybody who wasn't from the Eastern time zone, and then we kicked out anybody who wasn't from, New Jersey, basically, except for a few holdovers who don't have anywhere else to play. So, not gonna lie, a little nostalgic, a little excited to see my little Knollwood Knights making their first playoff appearance. And, listen, if they win a state title, I would be thrilled out of my mind. But they're my to watch. And then my dark horse, I'm going to hit them with the center school. Don't sleep on my friends at the center school. They can play some video games. Multiple time state champs across different titles. Um, you know, uh, I can see center school making some noise.
Yeah, I would not be a good friend if I didn't pick a team to crush your dreams. And I think West Essex is going to beat Knollwood in round two playoffs. And they're my to watch. And then I have Smith Middle School coming out of Ramsey as my dark horse, screaming out of the number 10 seed, um, where maybe I think that's a nice spot to do some damage, even if they don't win it all. Where they might overturn the apple cart a little bit.
I like it. Listen, I might have to call Superintendent Sean McNeil of Knollwood and have him get me emergency board approved as a volunteer coach and go in there and get those kids riled up to take out West Essex, all right? The Blue Stradamus award is on the line here.
It's important.
It is. But we go to Smash Group 1. Walk us through.
Yeah, Hopatcong taking that top overall seed by tenths of a point over Cape May Tech. So here you'll see, kind of where our philosophy with that playoff score really gets borne out. Both teams went undefeated. Hopatcong slipped up a little bit. You'll see that they dropped 2 sets, but with the weight of having to play an additional entire match and win that, the playoff score formula rewards them a little bit. So you do have some wiggle room if we, as the league sort of force you, quote unquote, to play a longer schedule, a tougher road.
Mm-hmm.
You do have that wiggle room where you can still, as long as you win the match, you can still take that top seed, even if you were not perfect. We never want to demand perfection. Remember the Titans style. But Cape May Tech gets the number 2 seed. Hawthorne, number 3. Henry Hudson. Schools that are just named after people takes. It goes on for a little bit. Henry Hudson, then David Brearley, then Clayton, Newark Tech, and Bronx River. Holdovers from our national organization days.
Yeah.
By virtue of a head-to-head victory, sneak into the top 8.
Yeah. Bronx River and Health Academy are our 2 New York teams that still play with us, that have been with us from day one, along with our friends, and I use the term loosely, our friends from Western Penn School for the Deaf, Hybrid Comets team. So drinking those Pennsylvania tears. As we go ahead and drop it up on the bracket, we got Hopatcong versus Bronx River. We got Henry Hudson versus David Brearley in Battle of the Schools named after people. You got Cape May Tech, Newark Tech, Hawthorne, and Clayton.
If you are on this screen right now, you go to Georgian Court.
Yeah, get the bus, Bronx River. Get the bus of PatCon Cape May. You're going. So we will see you at Georgian Court. And for my picks, I'm going to go with the Coach Patterson Cape May Dynasty. You know, Coach Patterson, the Cape May Tech team, carrying Cape May on their backs. You know, love everything about the program. I think they're set up to win here. I'm gonna take a flyer on Hawthorne. Hawthorne's had a great season in multiple titles, and so I think Hawthorne could make some noise as well.
Yeah, I am holding out hope that Hopakong will win a game that we play after they win it. And I think that they are hungry from their falling a little bit short in the championship of Cruz, and I think they're ready to actually bring home a belt in a game that people continue to play.
Yeah, yeah. Mike referring to the fact that Hapak Kong were state champions in Knockout
They've won
City
Knockout City. They've
and
won
what was the
Omega
other?
Strikers.
And Omega Strikers, and then
And
both games
immediately
shut
after winning their
down
titles, the games were shut down by the developers.
immediately after Hapak Kong, almost as if that's why they shut it down. Hapak Kong wins, we post it, the developers email us and say, "Hey, we're shutting down."
Yeah.
So
Doesn't bode well for Overcooked.
no, which I love Overcooked. I'm gonna be super mad if a Pat Kong ruins that for us. But imagine though, like they win Smash, and then like Nintendo's like, "Hey, Switch 2, we're not doing Smash anymore. It's done." Thanks, Jim, is what they're gonna say. Thanks.
Yep, that's what they'll say.
Thanks, Coach McCowan.
But my to watch has to be Cape May Tech. I mean, winning Cruz 2v2 is a bit of a different animal. You can't really ride a single player the way you can in Cruz. It's a little bit more chaotic, especially with team attack on and things like that. But Hopakon and Cape May Tech are right at the top. If one doesn't win, I think the other one will. But my dark horse is Clayton. Again, just looking at the records and looking at who's overperforming, who's taking sets, and I think that they're well positioned on that particular side of the bracket to make a bit of a run.
Yeah, my dark horse, I'm gonna go and pick Newark Tech. You know, just a program that came out of the gate strong, new to the league, and the fact that again, anytime you can show up new to the league and compete and do well like they did previously at events, I think is something to be said, right? So, looking for Newark Tech to potentially upend some brackets, which will bring us to Group 2.
Yeah, so Group 2, we have Barnegat taking our top overall seed by virtue of a single set difference between them and Pleasantville. Barnegat won Group 2 Central, I believe. Pleasantville wins the South, and Parsippany wins the North. But you'll see there, we had to go into strength of schedule to determine between Pleasantville and Parsippany which school deserved that second seed, and Pleasantville edged out a little bit. Northern Valley Demarest takes the 4. Technology High School, Cedar Creek, Sterling, and Manchester Regional are in the top 8. Oakcrest, Seneca, West Deptford, McNair, Middle Township, Manchester Township, Haddon Heights, and then Burlington County Institute of Technology round out our top 16.
Beautiful. We put it on the bracket. Now, reminder, this first round will be remote. We got Barnegat BCIT, Manchester Regional versus Oakcrest. We got Demarest versus Middle Township. We got Technology High School versus McNair, Pleasantville versus Haddon Heights, Sterling versus Seneca, Parsippany versus Manchester Township, and we got Cedar Creek versus West Deptford. And I think this will be one of the rare instances where you and I agree. I think this is Barnegat's to win. I know for me, as you will see, spoiler alert, Barnegat Smash Valkyrie is also going to be my pick. And I think we're going to see the fairy tale ending of the Packinator story down in Barnegat, where she and her teammate Dan will secure a co-ed state championship. And then the Packinator and Delaney bring home a Valkyrie Smash state championship.
Yeah, Kayla's going to be playing a lot of Smash at Georgian Court on the 17th. Make sure you bring a cable for your controller. Because I'm pretty sure, we saw this at Stockton, last year. where they were trying to pull off that double,
Hmm.
and wound up playing, I
It was a
think,
heartbreaker, man.
just 6 hours of Smash in a
Hmm.
row.
And lost in the finals barely, you
Yeah,
know. So
it's a grind. It's a grind.
yeah, and I know Pack is a senior. I'm almost positive Delaney's a senior, and so I'm really rooting for that fairy tale ending we've been looking for. So I know I got a folder of interviews, and I've gone down to Barnegat and gone to practices and learned how Coach Sellers and Coach Saar and Coach Brown run such a great program at Barnegat. I mean, they're pushing what, 8 state championships over there. This potentially could
It's up
be
there.
9, 10, and 11. Um, but I mean, they're running out of wall space. Somebody better tell athletic director John Germano that he needs to build a new room because they just need a new wall to put stuff on. But um, while you look it up, because Mike is also the records keeper and the historian as
Yes, the
well.
historian. Barnegat has 7 state titles.
7 state titles, and we're going to see them in at least 2 or 3 spots, maybe 4, where they can win titles again in this season alone. So, I mean, Barnegat is just unbelievable. So, Parsippany, I was excited to see Parsippany. Pretty sure this will be the first time we see Parsippany coming out to a live event. But I know that's another program that's really invested in the kids and what they're doing. And I'm fortunate to get to talk to their administrators a lot and kind of hear about their program. And so I know Parsippany is taking it very seriously. Um, and then my dark horse is going to pick the hometown. I don't want Coach Yates or anybody else knocking on my door because you could throw a rock from my house and hit Manchester High School. So I'm trying to stay on the good side of my Hawks. So hoping that they make some noise at the 14 seed.
I'm keeping my eye on Demarest, the Northern Valleys, Northern's Valley. They're known for the large team games, for the League of Legends, the Overwatch, the Valorant. So to see them pop up now in Smash, um, grabbed my attention a little bit. And they're well positioned with that 4 seed, where you've got that collision course with Barnegat. Um, if something were to happen, it would be the 4 seed to do it. But then my dark horse has got to be Seneca. Um, Again, way overperforming, right? So it takes 3 wins to win a match of 2v2 Smash.
Mm-hmm.
Seneca won 3 matches, but they won 13 sets.
Mm.
So that tells me they're losing 3-2s,
Yeah,
which, maybe somebody, caught a bit of lag. Now we're playing in person. Who knows what's going to happen.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. And so let's travel then to Group 3.
Yeah, Group 3 is a beast. So we've got Cranford as our number 1 overall seed, 7-0, 21-2. High Tech as the number 2 seed, and then Cumberland is the number 3 seed. Shawnee, St. Augustine, both over 70 in playoff score. Roxbury, Snyder, Timber Creek. You've got to go all the way into the 9 seed before you find somebody that's below 50 in playoff score. Camden County Vocational coming in at 10. Northern Burlington, West Essex, by virtue of a head-to-head, gets that 12 seed. Then Payne Tech, then Dover, Hamilton, and Long Branch round us out.
Love it. And we throw it up on the bracket. And we're going to get Cranford versus Long Branch. We got Timber Creek versus Middletown South. We got Shawnee versus Payne Tech. St. Augustine versus West Essex. High Tech and Hamilton. Henry Snyder and Camden County Vocational. We got Cumberland versus Dover. And then we got Roxbury versus Northern Burlington. And again, these rounds, right, this first round will be remote. 4:30. Playing at 3:30. So make sure you are ready to go. Make sure everybody's there. Like I said, we're not doing reschedules. We're not doing forfeits. Play your matches and let's get after it. So I know for me, you talk about another bittersweet event coming up is going to be the graduation of our buddy Luigi Kid, who has been a multi-time state champ, but also getting to know him, getting to know his family. I mean, just what a guy, and Coach Krinsky over there, and the rest of the high tech team, just great Smash players, great people. Um, I had the privilege of writing a letter of recommendation for Luigi Kid, and found out last time I talked to him that he got into RIT, Rhode Island Institute of Technology. I know he's super stoked to be going there. They have a great esports program. Our deaf casters who casted at the national Deaf Championship that we just co-hosted with Western Penn, they actually go to RIT. So I made sure, that they all were connected and stuff like that. So uh, I think High Tech wins it. I think it's a great ending to a great career with Luigi Kid. And really, it becomes about what is a world at High Tech look like without Luigi Kid, and that is what I'm curious to see in the future. But it's all about the present right now, and we'll call it the present because High Tech has been a gift. No, that's pretty good, dude. I did. You know how far I had to walk to get there?
Yeah.
Like in my head, I was like, all right, how do I do it?
Mm-hmm.
I got there though.
Anyway, my to watch is St. Augustine. Uh, coming out as a 5 seed. Again, 20-5 with a 6-1 record. And then my dark horse is Middletown South, a storied Smash program. Maybe they picked up a thing or two from a certain ham, and are continuing the tradition down there.
Love it. And correction, not Rhode Island, it's Rochester. My B. My to watch is kind of I'm gonna go with a dream that I have. If I showed you a map of Garden State Esports schools, and you see this sea of schools all over the state until you get to Cumberland County, and we have like one school.
I don't think we have anybody from Salem County.
Listen, I'm telling the story of Cumberland right now.
Sorry.
Right, Cumberland High School. They're gonna come on in, upset Luigi Kid. It's gonna be national news. Take out High Tech, and then all of a sudden, all the other schools in Cumberland, all 3 of them, are going to say, "Hey, we want to do esports too," and Cumberland is going to lead the rural revolution to bring in our friends from Cumberland and Warren and Sussex. You know what? Because they deserve esports too. Okay, esports isn't just for
places where people live.
Yeah, esports is not just for places people live, Mike. Esports is wherever people may end up, even if it is Cumberland County for some reason.
Right. I feel like I'm allowed to mock as a Sussex County boy. Nobody lives up there.
Yeah, you know what it's like.
I know what it's like.
Other than that, I think Camden County Vo, great program, been doing really well this year. Similar to what you said, stole some matches, kept it close. Definitely a team not to sleep on if you see them in the bracket.
Yeah, for sure.
And that'll bring us to the big ones.
Group 4.
Group 4 for Smash. Walk us through.
Yeah, so our conference champs, Cherokee, Edison, St. Peter's Prep, take those top 3 seeds. Lenape as the 4, Old Bridge right behind them as the 5, Absegami, West Windsor, Plainsboro South, and JFK are our top 8. Livingston, New Brunswick, Egg Harbor, Plainfield, Bayonne, Memorial, Union, and then there they are again, ACIT, coming back with a vengeance.
Love it. And we'll throw it up on the board. We got Cherokee versus ACIT, JFK, Livingston, Lenape, Bayonne. We got Old Bridge, Plainfield. That's a good one. Edison, Union. We got Plainsboro South versus New Brunswick. We got St. Peter's Prep. We got Memorial. And then Absegami versus Egg Harbor. And I know for me, I'm hoping, I'm thinking, I'm looking for an Edison win. Edison has been, part of the league for a while. Edison has been to playoffs. Edison has, been conference champs before, but they have yet to, I believe, bring home a belt. And I think it's about time, right? You take a look, Edison's right up there, dropped one less, dropped one more, set than, than Cherokee. Um, really would love to see Edison bring home the win.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to go with Old Bridge. I actually got a message out of the blue from Coach Weiss with I think a match result where he's like, we fell short in this one, but we got them next time. And I know that fire gets instilled in the players. Again, picking a not conference champ to win the whole thing. So I'm going with the Knights. And but my to watch is Cherokee. I mean, Cherokee's been there before, and I think that they will. They're going to make a deep run in this tournament, and they've showed their quality over the course of 7 undefeated matches. So it's hard to look away from that. But my dark horse has to be Bayonne. Again, just way overperforming. They won 4 matches, but won 16 sets. So, you know, these are players that go deep into these matches, and over the course of a tournament, maybe you wear somebody down.
Love it. Um, and listen, if you're taking Cherokee, I'm taking Lenape because I love the inter district battles. So I think they can make some noise. And really, my dark horse as well is um, just a hope that New Brunswick, who's been with us for a while, one of their first playoff appearances. I'd love to see New Brunswick do well. I know they work really hard over there. Coach Seth, and the rest of the team, they run a great program, and it has always surprised me that they have not been more successful. So I'm hoping this is the start, right, of seeing New Brunswick, at more events and bringing home some championships. So gonna be rooting for them as my dark horse. And then, we got some Valkyrie.
This is another really strong league. So you've got your Barnegat 6-0, 18-0, yada yada yada, win in the regular season. But then you've got High Tech and Shawnee right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got this cluster from 4 all the way down to 8 of teams that just beat up on each other. Old Japan actually beat West Essex in the regular season in a 3-2. They don't get to jump because they're a couple spots down, but you look at West Essex, Central Regional, Manchester Regional, Old Japan, and Burnett, and it's like who is winning these matches?
Right.
This 4-5 is probably going 5 sets. The 6-3 might even go 5 sets. Like, Valkyrie is really close, and that's a lot of fun. That when you get an 18 bracket that is, you've got 4 or 5 teams that might win it.
Yeah, I thought the same thing as you when I was looking back at Valk Smash, and you obviously have Barnegat and High Tech and Shawnee kind of in that top area, and then you got everybody else kind of grouped up. But I mean, people are just stealing matches and stealing wins off each other, and I'm honestly surprised that we did not see more triangles, or really, I guess, any triangles. Looking at those records, you would have to think that this would have been, there would have had to been some satisfaction going on for triangles.
Well, this was a cool one because it was a larger conference, so not everybody played everybody. So that's how you can get a lot of records that are the same. But playoff score differentiates, and we don't really have to get into common opponents and how did you do against High Tech? That sort of.
Well, and it's also great too because it just shows that our additional league for girls and marginalized genders and non-binary persons is continuing to grow. So the fact that we have a big enough conference where not everybody sees everybody is fantastic. So very cool to see that grow. But what we're going to see is Barnegat versus Burnett. We got West Essex playing Central Regional. We got High Tech versus Old Japan. We got Shawnee versus Manchester Regional. And, I think we talked a little bit a couple slides ago. I think we're both looking for, the tail of the Packinator and some of the stuff that we've seen, from Barnegat and Coach Saar and Delaney, coming out and finally being realized. So hoping that they win, but definitely High Tech is going to give them a run for their money. I'm not sure if Luigi Kid's got a sister or what's going on over there. But excited to see the high tech supremacy extending into Valkyrie Smash.
Yeah, I also picked Barnegat to win because I have to beat Chris at the picks, and I'm not an idiot. Um, but no, my to watch is Shawnee. Like we've been talking about, those top three teams are all very clustered together. I only get to pick two of them. I think all three of them have a chance to win the whole thing, especially with the chaos of the day and the length of the day, and you know playing an entire 18 bracket in a single day wears on you. It takes a lot of mental fortitude. It takes a lot of actual physical stamina to be able to play at such a high level because these teams are so good. But Barnegat or Shawnee for me are the cream of the crop. But my dark horse is Old Japan. Like I was saying before, they've actually got some wins on teams that were above them but could not jump just by virtue of playoff score. So playoff score does not matter at all in a single elimination bracket. Just winning does. So, if you win 3-2, you still win and knocked out the other team. So I think that, a situation like that is how you can see, a 7 seed pull something off and then keep on rolling.
Nice. And for me, my dark horse is going to be a team. I don't know if you've heard of them, the West Essex Knights. I'm going to go ahead and pick them as my dark horse because I also am assuming when they win the state championship, they will overthrow you and install me as the new leader of the West Essex program. So not only will I be ahead in picks, but I will also usurp your crown and be named the leader of the West Essex Knights.
Well, I think that's only fair, yeah.
Oh, love it. Let's see. Where are we? Where's my... Oh, there we go. Let's
It's
dive
time.
into then
People have been begging in chat.
for
It's
Val.
time. Yeah.
Val, it's time for Val. Should I hit like an ad roll?
I think we just had ads. People were complaining when we were on the brackets.
Oh, yeah, it says minus 45. Hey, sorry for the ads, friends. I actually have the ads thing up because I was going to, like, I don't know, give small talk questions or, like, polls or something during the ads. But as you can imagine, the best laid plans never seem to really work out. So, I'm guessing they're over, right? Because we're negative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, what's my little dashboard say? Yeah, like we're negative 45 on a pre roll. Okay. Hey, if it makes you guys feel better, I did intend to not talk over when the ads were on.
Oh, well.
Look, first time I ever prepared it, didn't execute,
there.
but listen,
We'll get there.
baby steps, guys. But let's talk about Valorant Group 1 and 2. Talk to me about how we decided to group up these two conferences.
So our Valorant setup was weird this year. So we always try to organize our conferences based on school size. We found that that's the best way to balance the conferences. Larger schools just have a larger talent pool to pull from. The odds of rolling the dice or throwing a tennis ball and hitting 5 good Valorant players when your school population is 3,000 is way better than when you have like 25 kids at a tech school. And so we were really big school heavy this season for Valorant, and so we did our best to almost protect those small schools and their regular season experience. So it wasn't 7 weeks of getting stomped on by schools twice their size. But what that did mean is that those conferences were smaller, and so when it came time to build playoff brackets, we wound up combining groups 1 and 2 together. And so you'll see a smattering of group 1 schools in here, some group 2 schools. It's actually pretty balanced between group 1 and group 2 in this particular bracket, and that's just the way that we've been able to provide the best competitive experience, because getting out of bed in the morning to play 7 weeks of Valorant when you're just losing all the time, no one's going to do that.
True story.
So, but what we see is we see Middlesex winning Group 2, and they went perfect 7-0. But Community Health of the Heights 6-0-1. So they had one tie. They're our number 2 seed. Then we followed up by McNair, Bronx River, Mercer Tech. David Brearley had the best win. They get the tie break over Newton. And Technology High School rounds out our top 8 from groups 1 and 2.
Love it. And so these will be played remote until The
until the final.
finals. All right.
Yep. Once we move into the playoffs for Valorant, so our regular season was best of two. 45 minutes for playing a single game of Valorant means your matches are an hour to an hour and a half. That's good in the regular season, but we have to make sure we have a winner. So we move to best of three, and that can charitably take 2 to 2.5 hours, and we just can't play all those rounds at Georgian Court. They will kick us out, turn the lights off, stop feeding us. And so, so we're going to play the round of 8 and the semifinals remotely, but we will see you on stage at the final on 5/17 at Georgian Court if you qualify.
Beautiful. And so first round remote is going to be Middlesex versus Technology High School. We got Bronx River Mercer Tech. We got Allied Health versus Newton, and we have McNair versus David Brearley. And I know for me, gonna shake up the bracket a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and pick a Mercer Tech. I think Mercer Tech has a great history here, and I've always been impressed by Coach Pete's ability to scout. And I think that is something that goes severely underestimated, especially in the playoffs.
I think I
So,
said last year that Mercer will scout your soul,
yeah,
and then
Mercer
they wound up
knows what
winning
you
the whole
had
thing.
for lunch yesterday.
Yeah,
And so, I think the seriousness with which Mercer Tech approaches the playoffs and scouting and game planning and film review, I think that's really where this shines. And so knowing who they're going to play, being able to do the work, I think Mercer Tech can bring it home.
yeah. I'm going with Middlesex. They burst onto the scene. I think this is their first year playing Valorant a full season, and that just they walked in, went undefeated, no big deal. Um, I do have Mercer Tech as my dark horse because I feel like that was great for me that they wound up getting seeded fifth because that meant that they were in the bottom half of the bracket and qualified as a dark horse. Because I do think that they can win. I think they can win the whole thing. My to watch is Bronx River, and that's the first round matchup. These two teams tied in the regular season. And so you wonder what would have happened had they played a
The
third
third
map
map,
in the
yeah.
regular season. But I know, over at Mercer they have binders where they put all their scouting information. Like these guys are diving deep into tracker.gg and figuring out, exactly how you're playing based on like the little like screenshots of the map every time somebody dies. Like they'll look through that and be like, oh, they were clearly doing, a 5-man execute on B here. And they'll know where the util is. And so like, that it really gets to what we're trying to teach with esports too is the analytics aspect of it, not just GG go next, just keep grinding games. And I think the fact that I sort of made a joke about it, 25 kids at a tech school, but Mercer Tech has, we'll look into the historical documents.
I think it's about 25 kids.
Yeah, and three state championships.
Right.
So that's how that happens, right? So they're working smarter, not harder, and that's why I think any of these three teams that I've got on my pick sheet here can just win the whole thing.
Love it. Well, and so for me, my watch is Middlesex, and listen, they played well. They played beyond well. First season, but for me too is I think that community love to see a state championship brought home to Middlesex High School, just so everybody can see over there the value of esports, just so they can realize, the time and dedication, the effort and the excitement and the passion that these kids have for esports. So I would love to see Middlesex take home a belt. And I'm sure a lot of community members over there, stakeholders, boards of ed folk would also love to see Middlesex take home a belt. So definitely rooting for them. Definitely think it's going to be possible. Actually, I gotta check my bracket real quick. Are they? Oh, same side of the bracket. Okay, so I could have seen a Middlesex Mercer final, but looks like we'll see that in the semis. And then David Brearley, dark horse. That best win wasn't over a nobody. So the ability to to keep close, to hang, and I think what you pointed out, Mike, is probably the biggest I guess we'll say variable or opportunity, however you want to look at it, a best of three is way different than a best of two. Big time. From how long you play to just the overall pacing of the game, the stamina of the players, the momentum, I
Yep.
think is probably the biggest, right? Can you
Learning
take
over
them?
the course, if it goes three, distilling what you've learned about your opponent over the first, hour and a half of playing them, like it's unlike traditional sports that are basically capped at 90 minutes,
Right.
right? You don't have 3 hours to learn how a soccer team plays.
Mm-hmm.
But that third map is crucial, and you see that when we get to the finals too. A lot of these will go three maps because the teams are just so good at using that information and moving on. So you'll see teams that had a lot of ties go deep into the playoff brackets because it's like, okay, well maybe this was a situation where they lost the first one, won the second one, but in the regular season we cut them off.
Yeah.
But now they have the chance in the playoff to win that third one and move on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly, right? How many of these teams that won that second map, had there been a third map, could have rode that momentum and pulled out, the 2-1 win? So, I mean, Valorant's always fun to watch, so I'm excited. And yeah, I mean, let's look at our friends over here in Group 3. Here we go. Another number one seed. I think it's three number one seeds now for the pride of Barnegat, the Bengal program.
Yeah, Barnegat swept through Group 3 South, perfect 6-0. So they'll take the top overall seed. Homedale. Um, Group 3 is an interesting mix based on how the school size participation shook out. Homedale are actually your defending Group 2 Valorant champions.
Mm-hmm.
Barnegat were Group 3 semifinalists. West Essex defending Group 3 champions as the 3 seed. Northern Valley Demarest, Group 3 runners up as a 5 seed in
Yeah,
this. This is a deep,
this
deep
is
bracket.
it's wild.
Ocean's in the mix, Haddon Heights, Scotch Plains, Fanwood, High Tech. You'll see there the FF's notation. Play
Mm-hmm.
your dang matches. Make sure you have subs. Um, so that's the difference between a 7 and 8. Though the difference between having to play Barnegat or having to play Homedale, I guess,
Not that different.
not that different.
When we look at it, we got Barnegat versus High Tech, we got Ocean versus Demarest, we got Homedale, Scotch Plains, we got West Essex, Haddon Heights. You know, see Barnegat, pick Barnegat is pretty much, the high school mentality I ride with. So, having watched Barnegat play Overwatch, I feel like they got some kids over there doing double duty. Maybe a Nick Sellers shows up on the Valorant team. Um, it's theirs to lose. But I think if they're going to lose, similar to you, uh, I mean, Homedale played with us last year, only played Valorant, walked in, won a state championship, said we'll see you again next year. And here they are in the spring. I guess have been planning the fall and the winter. I got to talk to the Homedale coach. Say, hey, how do we get this program, expanding and playing with us in the fall and the winter? But here they are. Hey, we're back. Spring, going. Number 2 seed, try to bring home another championship. But to your point, I mean, you have 4, state champs or defending state champs going as low as a 5 seed. So. Yeah, this is going to be a good one to watch. I'm probably going to have to see if I can get a Barnegat or a Homedale to cast it for us. And we'll put it up on the stream. I'll have to talk to Jaden over there and see if she wants to. Who wants to miss any of this bracket?
I know. Yeah. I mean, the Group 1-2 bracket was solid. The Group 3 bracket is solid. We'll see the Group 4 bracket too. Like, it's a shame that we don't have infinite time, space, and money. Because there are just so many matches that we have to make sure people get eyeballs on. Because a little team called West Essex, I think they're going to repeat. I saw Coach West in the chat ask me what I was thinking. Well, I'm thinking that West Essex is going to beat Barnegat in the championship.
Wow.
but
Shots
my
fired.
to watch is Homedale. If everything goes on seed, Homedale is a 2, West Essex is a 3. You're going to have 2 defending champions playing in the semifinal. So like that's the quality that runs all the way through this bracket. And my dark horse is Demarest. Again, runners up last year. They reloaded. They lost a bunch of players to graduation and other activities, and they reloaded, and they're back at it, 5-1-1 over the course of a 7-week season. So from top to bottom, I think this one's up for grabs by anybody. But I think I know who's going to grab it.
Nice. Gonna be a good one. All right, let's go to our big schools. Mike, here we go.
Yeah, St. Peter's Prep, 7-0. They get your top seed. Cherry Hill East 6-1. They'll get your 2 seed. Livingston right there as the 3 seed. Cherokee East side. East Brunswick, Old Bridge. We went deep into the tie breaks here.
Yeah.
East Brunswick wound up actually beating Cherry Hill East. They were Cherry Hill East's loss, so they get, by virtue of best wins, that seed over Old Bridge. And then we have Plainfield / Bayonne. That is not a joint program. That is 2 teams that went 3-1 and tied each other. Both of those teams had a stronger strength of schedule over. Let me get this right. Over Bayonne, over Edison. Sorry, Edison was also 3-1. But the strength of schedule in Plainfield and Bayonne's conference was a little bit stronger. But we have no way to decide the difference between these 2 teams.
So that means we must summon the spirits of our gaming ancestors. We must summon Quake and Unreal Tournament and all of the old games and flip the coin, which I'm hoping you have because I don't have a coin.
I don't have a coin.
Okay.
No. I'm gonna roll a dice.
All right, we can do that.
Because I'm a Dungeons and Dragons guy. So I will roll something that I can show on camera after I roll it.
This is always the most stressful part.
Well, I'm just glad that I'm not rolling for my own team this time.
That's true.
Last time I had to roll a die, I cost them like 4 seeds. It was wild. Alrighty. All right, I have a standard D6. We will make Bayonne, because they're first in the alphabet, 1, 2, or 3. So if I roll a 1, 2, or 3, Bayonne is in the playoffs. If I roll a 4, 5, or a 6, Plainfield is in the playoffs.
Here we go.
It is a 6.
There it is, Plainfield. Punches their ticket as the chosen ones. And we take a look. Can I even modify?
You can't modify it. That's a PNG.
I can't. We've been
Plainfield.
PNG'd, but we will tell you verbally. You're going to be playing remote on May 1. You're going to be playing remote on May 8. We got St. Peter's Prep versus Plainfield. Sorry, drew a blank for a second. Cherokee versus East Side. We got Cherry Hill East versus Old Bridge. We got Livingston versus East Brunswick. And we take a look when it comes to the picks. And, I'm going to go Cherry Hill East. Cherry Hill East, great program. Have success in Valorant before. Had success in League, another Riot title. I like to think somehow that's related. But I think Cherry Hill East, may be able to slide to the top here.
I'm hot updating the PNG. All right, so when people go back to the slides, it is up to date. It is good. But my pick to win is St. Peter's, that top overall seed. My to watch is Livingston. I think that they're of the quality of a conference champion. Having spoken to their coach a little bit, looked at their ranks, in terms of setting up scrimmages and stuff. I think Livingston is just as good as the conference champs. But my dark horse here is Old Bridge. I think they're one of those teams, 2 ties. What would they have done with a third map with the information they had been given? We know that they think deeply about the game as well. They prepare, they scout. So what would they have done with a third map in those 2 ties? And I think in a best-of-3 situation, Old Bridge can cause some damage.
Love it. My to watch is going to be our friends from East Side in Newark. That has been a pleasure of a program to get to know. I was so thrilled, with them coming out and seeing us in the fall along with Data Tech, and excited that they get to come out. I talked to some of the admins over there at East Side, and they're actually bringing buses of all the Newark kids, right, from all their different programs, even if they didn't make the playoffs. So I know that East Side is going to be traveling deep. They told me that it's going to feel like a home field advantage for Newark. So hey, listen, if they want to roll deep and they want to come in and they want to bring the folks and they want to smack the boomsticks, all right, East Side, let's go. And then my dark horse, obviously, because they have been selected as the chosen ones, is going to be Plainfield. The dice have spoken. The old gods of Unreal Tournament and, Quake 3 have decided that Plainfield is supposed to be in it. And
Yeah.
who am I to argue? Right? So I'm going to go ahead and take Plainfield to ride this wave of fate, potentially to a state championship, as they carry Coach Trumbauer out above their heads in victory. Yeah, why not? What do they say? Why not us? Why not Plainfield? We'll go with that. Beautiful. And then we jump into
Valkyrie League. So we have to talk about it real quick while the WPST kids still have ads.
Yes, I strategically made sure I did a geo fence. Anybody currently located in Pennsylvania should be having 3 minutes of ads. So,
so this was another super conference where not everybody played everybody, and WPSD Comet's hybrid program went perfect 6-0 with the matches that they were provided. So they get that top overall seed as conference champs. Cherry Hill East follows up, defending champs, if I'm not mistaken. Bayonne, Northern Valley Demarest, Plainfield, Barnegat, Old Bridge, and Woodbury. What's really cool is a bunch of these programs did not play Valkyrie Valorant last year.
Yeah, that is the best part.
And so to see them now hop on the Valkyrie train, make the playoffs, is just so fun to see. I was chatting with Coach Weiss from Old Bridge. They had a win-you're-in situation today. And the first thing he said was, my girls will be so excited to see they made the state tournament.
So cool. Yeah, I mean, it's whether it's our unified program or our Valkyrie program. I mean, anytime you see more people get in the game, is really exciting. So, love the fact that Valk, Smash, and Valorant basically doubled in size. And we're probably 10x from 3 years ago when we started it. But you throw it up on the bracket. We've got our friends from WPSD, the Hybrid Comet team, playing Woodbury. We got Demarest versus Plainfield. We got Cherry Hill East versus Old Bridge. And then we got Bayonne versus Barnegat. And so for me, obviously we know who I'm not picking. Okay? Going to be those folks from Pennsylvania who, I don't know, meme me and make derogatory statements toward me and pork roll. And I'm just not going to have it. But what I am going to have is some Cherry Hill East winning. Right? I think that they're going to ride that wave from a Group 4 co-ed championship right into a Valkyrie championship. And I know Coach Graff and the team over there, they take it seriously. So I think Cherry Hill East may be be able to get in there and make some noise. And if it's not Cherry Hill East, I'm thinking it may be Bayonne.
It's bold. I have not been proven wrong yet. Picking WPSD to win Valkyrie, whether that's Overwatch or Valorant, and I'm just gonna keep going because I like winning. But my to watch is Cherry Hill East. You can't ignore a defending champion. WPSD and Cherry Hill did not play, So who knows what would have happened had they played one another? And I think that that's very exciting. But my dark horse is Plainfield. We saw Plainfield make a deep run, push WPSD to the brink in Overwatch. I imagine there's overlap in the player base, so it'll be cool to see. Um, they are on the same side of the bracket, so we won't get to see it on stage, but there is the opportunity for some vengeance. And if you wind up knocking out WPSD, sky's the limit. Take home the belt. Um, so yeah, Plainfield's my dark horse.
Yeah. And my dark horse, I'm going to take Barnegat because we potentially have a scenario where Barnegat wins 4 state championships,
Everything.
which I
Just
mean
shut it down.
will set the record. I don't think we've ever had a program win 4 state championships in different titles in one season. So I know Coach Brown is going to have him ready to play. He's going to have his notebook. He's going to have, I'm assuming, his tie and his suit on. And listen, you got Coach Brown in your corner. What can't you do is what I like to say. So definitely not going to sleep on Barnegat. And I think it might be cool to see that dynasty grow. So, and next we got All Stars. Why don't you walk us through what All Stars looks like?
Yeah, so the way we do our all-star teams, our all-state teams, if you're drawing a parallel to traditional sports, is at the end of every match when your coach goes to report the score, we force them to pick a player of the game from your team and also a player of the game from the opposing team. So they can use whatever criteria they want, but these are the standout players from across the league as voted on by your coaches and your opposing coaches. And whenever we run into a tiebreak situation where we have to cut the list off somewhere, we always go with whoever received the most votes from the opposing coach. So these are players that are making, a big enough impact and standing out among the crowd, so much so that the opposing coach is like, hey, that kid was good. And the way we size these all-star teams is we take 2 times the number of starters plus 2. More
Love it.
math. 2x plus 2 equals
2x plus 2. More algebra. And so for our middle school Rocket League All Stars, again, weighting coaches' votes for opponents more than coaches' votes for their own players. We're going to have Louis from Southern Regional. We got Kiernan from Warren Township. We got Landon from Orange Ave. We got Jim from Madawan. We got Luca from Jonas Salk. And we got Rob from Elizabeth Haddon. And we invite all the All-Stars that are going to be recognized here on our playoff reveal show to join us in person where we will recognize them on the stage, right? So come get a certificate. Miss Miller will have a pin for you. We'll have some pictures and just be recognized as an all-star. So if your team didn't make the playoffs or you're not playing in the playoffs, jump on the bus with your school, jump on the bus with your teammates, get a ride, and come be recognized as the all-star that you are. So that is Middle School Rocket League. Hit us up with High School Rocket League, Mike.
Yeah, so for high school, we have Matt from Lenape, Dominic from Eastern Regional, Sebastian from Pompton Lakes, Thomas from Heightstown, or Tomas from Heightstown, Diego from Colonia, and David from West Windsor, Plainsboro South.
Wonderful. And we will then check out our middle school Smash players. We got Tim from Bayshore. We got Brendan from Harrington Park. We got Nick from West Essex. We got Evan from Middletown South. We got Melody from Burnett. And we got Aiden from Southern Regional. Love seeing Melody in Super Smash because also a Valk player. And then we got High School Smash.
Yeah, High School Smash. We've got Gregory from Plainfield, Zach from Cranford, Jaden from ACIT, Lucas from High Tech, Miles from Hopakong, and Mark from St. Augustine.
Love it. I'm pretty sure for Miles and Lucas, that's their 1 millionth All-Star recognition. So we'll make sure your certificates are gold laden as a 1 million-time All-Star. But we got our Valorant All-Stars. We got Ashvik from West Essex, Gabriel from Mercer Tech, Vincent from Scotch Plainsfield. How close? Okay. I was seeing how close V and W are on the keyboard.
That's how it's entered in the portal.
Awesome. Okay. We got Vincent from Scotch Plains
His
Fanwood.
his his handle's awesome. It's Vincent the Chad.
Oh, I like that. All right. We got Hunter from Holdendale. We got Tyson from Woodbury. Daniel from Oldbridge. Jail from Cherokee. Ruben from Bronx River. Sam from Lenape. Matt from Manasquan. Tyler from Wallkill Valley. And Emmanuel from Plainfield. Rounding out our Valorant All-Stars. And then walk us through our Valk All-Stars.
Yeah, we have for Valk SSBU, we've got the Packinator from Barnegat, we've got Maeve from Old Tapan, Kaya from West Essex, Abigail from Burnett, Willow from Shawnee, and Brielle from High Tech.
And last but never least, our Valkyrie Valorant All-Stars is Cass from Woodbury, Cadence from the Hybrid Comets team. We got Aaron from Old Tapan, Grace from Oldbridge, Hannah from Cherry Hill East. We got Jeline from Plainfield, Kaylee from Cherry Hill East, Arlene from Plainfield, Winter from Barnegat, Delaney from Barnegat. We got Alexander from Oldbridge, and we got Aylin from Demarest. Rounding out our Valorant All-Stars. So congratulations to everybody recognized, well deserved. Don't forget, if you are an all-star, you are invited to come out and be recognized in person May 17th at Georgian Court. Come get a nice certificate, a very nice pin, and a high five from Miss Miller during the all-star and MVP portion of our event. And Mike, let's remind our friends and our coaches and our players, right? What does playoffs look like?
That's right. So, in the big yellow box is very important information. You must play your playoff match on the default time and day. So, Rocket League's usually played on Tuesdays. That is when the playoff matches for Rocket League are at 3:30 p.m. If there is an extenuating circumstance, like your building loses power, you know, everyone in the building gets jury duty, something like that. Reach out to GSC. We must approve any reschedules. We are very strict about reschedules when it comes time for playoffs. We think the greatest ability is availability, and we want you to play when you are supposed to play. Logistically speaking, behind the curtain, these matches have to get played so that we can produce and print materials that are then used at playoffs on May 17th, and we just need the time to do that. So the first round of anything that is 16 teams will be played next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So your first round of the Rocket League for groups 1 and 2, you are playing on Tuesday. The first round of Middle School Smash is playing on Wednesday. All groups of High School Smash that are 16-team brackets will play their round of 16. And the Valkyrie Valorant first round will be on Wednesday. And then all Valorant first rounds will be on Thursday. And then the semifinals are the week after, 7th and 8th for Valorant. So if you make the top 8 in a game that is not Valorant, you're playing at Georgian Court. If there are still 16 teams left, you still have a match to play. That's just the rule of thumb there. And if you are playing Valorant, you must make the final to play in person. For coaches in the chat, on Monday, May 12th, there will be a mandatory coaches meeting for anyone who makes the tournament in person, where we'll be going over really important information about peripherals, game accounts, how the day works, things like that. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be inviting you directly, over Discord and through your email and stuff like that.
Excellent. Yep. So mandatory coaches meeting. If you are in a bracket of 8, we'll see you at Georgian Court. If you're in a bracket of 16, make sure you're ready to play. And during playoff time, we're not giving reschedules because your best player's at the dentist or somebody has to go and do something else. Even roster locks, Mike, are going to be when?
Yeah, rosters will lock tomorrow. So you can no longer add or remove players as of tomorrow. So those will lock in perpetuity for Rocket League and Valorant. For Smash, because we let you switch your characters from match to match, You'll be able to change your characters in Smash before that first round matchup, but then we will lock it down um, a couple of days before May 17th. And you cannot change your characters in between rounds at Georgian Court. It's just not fair. People don't have access to the portal to scout you, to prepare. So get your character loadouts ready to go. So Smash we will leave open so that you can swap your characters around, but all the other rosters will completely lock. Remind your players to not change their names because that's extremely frustrating. Remind your players to not get banned from the game because we will not allow you to adjust the roster for their alt account that they're suddenly playing on. So this is crunch time. This is where it's serious.
Love it. And a little sneak peek, as we alluded to at the top of the show, the spring finals are going to be so big that we have to move to a new building. So you will see our new layout for the Georgian Court University Wellness Center. We will have our college matches being played, our Valorant matches on stage. We got our Smash Pit area. We got some walk-up tournaments, so that way there's something to do for everybody. But just a little sneak peek at what the new venue is going to look like in our new building, complete with ropes to make sure nobody gets crushed. And so to that end, when you go to Georgian Court, we have previously been over here in the casino. We are now actually going to be in the Wellness Center, which is their brand new sports and athletic arena. So it's going to be an unbelievable space, and we should be in that space for the foreseeable future. Because
Chris, can you go back to the layout because I saw some folks in the chat call out my typo. For those looking for Rocket League, any Rocket League finals are going to be at that stage at the top of the screen where it says Valorant and College Overwatch. It's actually College Overwatch and Rocket League. We're going to start the day off with our College Overwatch final, and then Rocket League finals will be on that stage.
There you go. And I think first time we're dropping 3 stages on everyone.
Well, yeah, built out stages.
Built out stages.
Because we have that third stage in the casino. So this will be cool because we're piggybacking right off Georgian Court's commencement.
Mm-hmm.
So that one stage is gonna have all the razzle dazzle. It's gonna have video walls.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. This stage, Georgian Court is just leaving that stage in place for us from their graduation. So they're walking off with their diplomas, and we're walking on to play some Valorant and some other cool stuff. So. But yeah, again, and we'll get this all out to you at the coaches meeting, and I'll make this presentation available right after we're done here. But do note we are in a brand new building. It's going to be wonderful. And with that is your spring playoff reveal. Congratulations to that's it, not bad, man. Congratulations to everybody who made it. We can't wait to see and hope you guys make it to the in-person if you haven't already. If you did not make it, don't disband your team. Don't stop checking your Discord DMs because you might get called up. And that is to say, listen, if you're playing virtually or you're already going to Georgian Court, get your bus now. I used to give 4 weeks notice for a bus, and it's been taking 6 weeks sometime to get bus approval. So don't get caught without your bus, because nothing is more disappointing than making the live playoffs just to realize you don't have a bus. And if you're my friends at Demarest and Old Tapan, please make sure you figure out who is ordering the bus. All right? We don't want to miss you guys again. So, other than that, Mike, thank you and the competition committee for all of your hard work this season. The Wizard of Waz and the rest of your team really do a great job, not just seeding, but running the regular season. Thanks to our VP, Regina Schaefer, and Alyssa Miller, and everybody on the team, Coach DeMarco, Coach Weiss, and everybody who helps make GSE happen. Give you a little bit more of a spoiler, probably in the next 2 weeks or so. We are going to release the new schedule for next year, along with the new games and returning games we're going to be playing, on top of our new and updated rules and procedures. for how the league will run next year. So before Georgian Court is the goal to get you guys everything you need to also get ready for next year. So and we got a lot of really cool stuff going on for next year. You can also pencil in all of next year's events being back at Georgian Court. They've been great hosts, so we're going to probably sign ourselves a little 3-year deal with them. Keeping us centrally located and working with a host who, hey, it's not easy to set these events up, so they do a good job making it as easy as possible. And if you would like to come set up the event, don't forget our setup days are now field trips. If you would like to get your kids networking 100 computers with Mike, and you would like to learn from audio engineers and our video engineers and our student leaders who have been casting and doing production for us for years, we were excited to welcome Edison and Gateway High Schools, and some other high schools throughout the year to come set up with us. But this is much as about career development and workforce training as it is gaming. So I still have open spots if you want to come on a Friday before the spring championship and you want to help us build out the space. And other than that, looking forward to it. There'll be something to do for everybody. Tickets should be pinned. We got Coach DeMarco and the Woodbury team of students running our walk-ups again and all kinds of different contests and giveaways and stuff like that. So comic book store will be back. I talked to the comic book store folks last week. And we got the food trucks coming. So it's going to be a whole event. We're just going to pack in another 500 to 1,000 people in a newer building. So thank you to everybody for tuning in, and thank you to everybody for being part of this. So with that, we'll see you at Georgian Court on May 17th. Thank you.